Hi guys, Vlad here again. So this time we're doing a full tutorial video for 2014 Thor Vegas Class A Hybrid. So in this video is going to be pretty lengthy, and I'm going to show you the same walkthrough as I do with the real renters on the day when they pick up the camper. We're going to do the walk around. I'll show you all the compartments. I'll show you all the outside features, then we'll go through the hookups, and then we'll go inside, and then we'll talk a little bit about driving. When you watch this video on YouTube, you'll be able to jump to specific sections of this video. If you just need to see the specific topic, just look in the description of the video, and you can jump right to the topic you need. So let's start. So like in all our other campers, all compartments are labeled. You can see which compartment has what. All of them, they have a key lock and a thumb lock. Usually for the travel, I suggest that you also use the key to lock them completely so they don't rattle open. So this compartment is pretty much just the storage. However, important things, on this side you have a griddle hookup, and we do have a propane griddle in the next compartment. So you just hook it up here, you turn this yellow valve, and you have yourself a griddle. We also have a toolbox and some grilling utensils. This compartment is what we call a shoe box because it's really close to the entrance, so it's very convenient to store shoes in here. We have a griddle storage, so this is a black stone blacktop griddle. Moving on the back here we have so-called see-through or pass-through storage. It's pretty large. You can put a lot of things in there. So we have tire ramps, patio mat, a couple camping chairs, picnic table, and some other stuff. So a few words about these. Because this unit is not equipped with any self-leveling system, these are so-called leveling ramps. So for example, if you park somewhere overnight, not just for a few minutes, but overnight, somewhere where it's not level, you can use these ramps to raise the back or the front of the RV. So you just put them under the tire. Say you need to raise the back, you put them under rear tires, and you just drive up, and you have 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3. Just remember to use a handbrake when you do this so the unit doesn't roll back. In some rare scenarios when you have to level the unit left to right, you can, for example, if you have to raise this side, you just put it on the outer tire on the back and on the front tire and drive up. Here on the side and also on the back, you have spirit levels that show you how much unit is level or unlevel. And this is obviously handy. I usually say if you're more than 3 points out, this is the time when you have to level. And on this side, which is pretty much the same compartment, just the access from the outside, from the other side, you will find a picnic table, a box of camping supplies, sewer hoses, and for those who will be using the generator during the trip, this is the breaker for the generator. So if it's tripped, you know, it will sit in the middle, and then you bring it back up to re-enable it. Alrighty, moving on. What else we have here? Exterior shower. Does not mean that you have to shower outside. We have indoor shower, but this is handy if you have dirty shoes or you have a pet with you and you want to wash them down before you bring your pet inside. So this is handy. Okay, gonna jump that one and show you from up front. So this is the storage for your electric cable and water hose, and this is propane. Few words about the propane. So the RV is using the propane for following purposes: heating up the camper, right, with a furnace, keeping the fridge cold, cooking, and using it for the griddle. The propane tank is right here. This is the access door. You can see the propane level right here. So right now it's half a tank. You can also see this level from inside the camper on the monitor panel. This is the fill port. To refill the propane, you pretty much can do that at most of the bigger truck stops, tractor supply stores, and campgrounds. But wherever you do this, you do not have to do it yourself. You just pretty much come to the truck stop, you go to the counter to register and say, hey, I need a propane. And they will ask you to vacate the camper and make sure all the pilots are off. Now, to ensure that the pilots are off, what you can do is basically just close this valve. All right, you close it, and this will make sure that pretty much there is no propane going to the camper right now, and then you reopen. One thing to keep in mind, if you do this procedure, you have to go back to your fridge and restart it, especially if the fridge is running on the propane. As an opposite to electricity, the fridge will stop once it runs out of the propane in the line. So if you do this, make sure you restart the fridge. Okay, and before I start showing you the hookups, I want to touch the base about different types of camping. So you can have a camping with a full hookup, like say you go to the campground and you have electricity, water, sewer, or you're doing dry camping, which means you have no hookups at all. And the third type would be that sometimes you have partial hookups. For example, you go to the state park and quite often all they have is just electric hookup. So those three types of camping are very different by the way how you treat your resources in the camper, right? Water, battery charge, and propane. And I will be showing you the hookups for different methods. So let's go. So let's start with a scenario that you have a full hookup, meaning you have electricity, water, and sewer. And we're gonna hook up all three of these features. So in here you have electrical cable. Let's start with this. You bring it right here. I usually suggest that you connect to the camper first. So, and you'll notice it has like a 3-prong connector, and the way they're made, you cannot mix them up. You plug in it right here, you twist it on so it stays on. Then your other end goes to electrical post at the campground. This is the 30 amp connector. And make sure this cable is fully uncoiled so it doesn't heat up. Now let's imagine a scenario that instead of the campground you just parked at somebody's property or someone's house and all they have is just regular 110 outlet. For this you will need an adapter that's conveniently stored right in here. We have it right here. So what this will do, it will convert this 30 amp connector into regular 110 outlet. Right now you can hook it up to pretty much any outlet. However, you have to understand that there will be limitations because usually outdoor outlets, they provide only 15 amp. And this will, the outlet where you plug in will most likely trip if you try to use something like air conditioner or microwave or some big ticket items. So just, you know, you have to understand the limitations. However, it will charge the batteries and it will provide the 110 to all of the outlets. And the second connection would be your water hookup. So we got the hose right from their compartment and it would go right in here. It's a city water connection. You just open it up and thread it in. All right. And the other end obviously would go to the water connection like a garden spigot. Now, just so you understand, this is so-called direct city water connection, meaning that if you hook it up here, the water will go from your source directly to faucets and shower and the toilet, bypassing the fresh water tank. In order to fill the fresh water tank, you have to bring this hose on the other side of a camper, and to fill the water tank, you come on this side of the camper, on the passenger side. You have this handy gadget that's located in the same compartment as water hose. You put it on, stick it in, turn the valve, and just start filling. Once the tank is full, the excess water will just start coming out, so you'll know when it's full. This is about 65-gallon fresh water tank, and whenever you will be picking up the camper, unless it's in the middle of the winter, it will be full for you, so you don't have to worry about filling it up. Okay, and the last but not least is the sewer connection. So back here we have sewer hoses, and sewer hookup is right here. All right, Now, for those of you who rents the camper for the first time or uses the camper for the first time, I'm going to give you a little bit RV sewer basics. So each camper, including this one, has two sewer tanks. A black tank, which is your pretty much toilet waste, and a gray tank, which is basically soapy water from your sinks and showers. You have two different levels here, so you can drain the sewer tank separately. You have the black tank drain and the gray tank drain. All right, these two tanks combined are about the same size as your freshwater tank, meaning 65 gallons. So if you guys are doing so-called dry camping, right, or hybrid camping where you have just electrical hookup, you can basically, your sewer will fit all your fresh water. All right, so if you're somewhere at the campground and you have a fresh water and you have that temptation to top off your fresh water tank, be careful with that, because now you're carrying more water than your sewer tanks can hold. So usually my suggestion is, if you don't have a way to dump your sewer, don't add any water to your fresh water tank. All right, so how to do the hookup? You have two hoses here. You have 1 and 2, and if your sewer port happens to be really close to this area, then you can get away with just using this hose, and you would use this one, the orange one. But if your sewer port, and that's usually the case, is all the way back, then you will need two sewer lines. So the way you do it, you open the cap, you twist the sewer line on, and you make sure it's locked. All right, you can stretch it out. Then, depending on where your sewer port is, you just use 1 or 2 lines. You can connect these two together, and then this line would go into the sewer port. So you'll notice it has 3 different connections, and you can either twist them on or just kind of stick it in. We don't have a sewer port right here, but imagine there is one, and you would just stick it in and make sure it's pushed in. And once you got this into your sewer port, nice and firm, so make sure you press it in so it stays in. If you have any excess of the sewer line, just make sure you lay it out so it's not kinked. All right, and then you come back here and you start opening the valves. You always want to open the black tank first, so just by lifting it up, and usually it's pretty rapid flush. It will flush fairly quickly, and then once it's done, you open up the gray tank. When you do it in this order, what will happen is the soapy water from the gray tank will rinse the sewer line, and when you disconnect it, it will be fairly clean. Also, a few handy hacks. This is a wrench if you don't have enough hand power to unlock or lock the sewer line. This is very handy, and we always have some plastic gloves. So once you got this line disconnected, and that's the case where you need some extra hand power, once you get this line disconnected, you can use either exterior shower just to rinse it completely, or use the campground water source to rinse this line. After this, you close both of these and you're done. Another scenario, say you're not just at the dump station dumping your sewer, but you arrived to the campground and you're gonna stay there for a couple days. If you haven't noticed yet, this is the slide out, and when you guys will be parked, the slide out will be like this far out, making access to this quite a challenge. So my suggestion would be, you do all this procedure, you open both of the valves, and you just leave them open for the time of your stay, because it's really inconvenient to climb underneath and try to open these valves while the slide is open. Another good suggestion that works for both ways, whether you're camping or you just stopped at the dump station, before you do any of this, go to the restroom and flush a lot of water. I get quite a lot of calls from renters calling me and saying, "Hey Vlad, we just dumped both tanks and we start driving and we used the toilet a few times and now it's smelly, or we think it didn't dump properly." Usually what happens is you have too much solids in a black tank too much toilet paper and not enough water to flush it. So before you even open these valves, you go to the toilet, you press the paddle, you flush maybe for good 2-3 minutes, and then you come and do all this procedure, and then you'll have enough water to dump the black tank. And a few words about the ladder and access on the roof, because this is our only unit that has a ladder on the back. Guys, I would not recommend climbing on the roof because it's so-called soft roof, which means there is a narrow, unmarked walking path. And usually either owner or technicians know where to walk and where not to walk. So if you want to climb up to make a cool picture or to look around, you have very high chances to fall through the roof and own the camper and the roof, which is pretty expensive. So just simply don't climb here. Okay, a few more things before we go in. One of them is the keys. So you got 2 black keys to do the door handle. The rounded key will lock the handle itself, while this one will do the deadbolt. Now, it's very important, guys, when you're driving, that this deadbolt is locked. You can do it from inside as well. This door also separates, by the way, so you can have it like this. But by turning this particular one, you do lock the deadbolt, and that's very important. So when RV is in motion, that this is locked. All right, and last 2 functions before we go inside. So one of them is the outing. The switch is right here by the entrance. It says in and out. So when you press the out, the outing opens up like so. You can see it opening it right now. Okay. So the outing is fully electric on this one. And you can bring it as far as you want or leave it halfway. It doesn't really matter, but you will know when it's over when you will start seeing the skirt coming off. So yeah, when you see this little thingy popping out, that means the outing is fully open. To roll the outing back in, this is very important in this unit. You have to make sure that you use the in button, because you can keep holding the out button and the outing will just roll in backwards. So if you rolling the outing inside, make sure you do it like this. Now, a few words on the outing safety. Can't stress it enough how vulnerable outings are, and this is one of the few things that insurance company will not cover if it gets damaged. My suggestion is like so: if you don't have visual contact with the camper, meaning you went for a hike, you went for a dinner, roll the outing in. All right, it doesn't take a lot of wind to rip it off from RV. So if you have a scenario when it's raining and you have stuff on the outside, I still suggest roll the outing in if that rain also comes with a lot of wind. Okay, and here at the entrance you have 2 buttons, one for interior lights and one for exterior. So when you turn this on, you have this little nice LED strip, and it also enables this fancy speaker. It's a Bluetooth speaker, and you can connect your phone to it. It will be called RGB media. Also on the top right here, you can have a switch to override this light off. If it's like too bright, attracting too many bugs, you can turn it off. Alrighty, this guys completes it for the outside. Let's go inside. We're ready for the inside part of the training. And I will start with the same little talk about different types of camping, whether you do a dry camping or full hookup, right? So as we were talking about the water, right? That's your limited resource if you do dry camping. From the inside perspective, if you guys doing so-called dry camping, mainly you have to pay attention to your battery. So this particular camper is equipped with 2 house batteries, and they feed pretty much everything. The only 2 devices in this camper that run specifically on 110 is the air conditioner and microwave. So for these 2 to run, you need either hook up to the shore power, to the electricity, or you need to run the generator. Everything else in this camper, furnace, lights, TVs, and even the outlets, we'll talk about it later, the fridge, everything else works out of the batteries. And if you're dry camping, you have to monitor the battery level. Okay, so the control center. Let's start from this handy gadget to continue our talk about the house battery. And this is exactly what it says here. It's a house battery level. And here you have a little chart that shows you exactly what percentage the battery is at the moment. So if you look, 12.2 volts, we're about 60% charged right now. Also, this gadget is programmed to start buzzing when your battery goes critically low. In general, if you're in the yellow zone, you want to start charging the house batteries. Because if you get to red, you basically start destroying your house batteries. How do you charge house batteries? There's a few ways. First of all, if you're connected to shore power, it automatically charges this battery. Second, when you guys driving, the alternator of the engine will also charge these batteries. Third way is starting the generator, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. When you run the generator, it produces the 110, and it also charges the batteries. And we just recently added a very cool feature. This unit is now equipped with 200 watt panels, solar panels. So we have 200 watts of solar. So if you park under the sun, you'll notice this level will go up and will stay up. All right. So make sure you, from time to time, watching your house battery and, keep this battery charged. Moving up our control panel, I'm going to go through all the buttons and explain you each function. So this is the slide operation to extend and retract, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. Tank heaters is for the winter users. If you're renting this camper in the winter time, when the temperatures are below 32 degrees, you want to have those on, and they will keep your sewer and freshwater tanks warm. This is not a water heater. This is just the tank's heater, which prevents them from freezing. Okay, moving on. This is your water pump. So the way it works, if we turn it on right now, you'll notice there is no water coming out. And to pump the water from the freshwater tank to your faucets, you have to turn this button on. All right. This pump shuts off automatically when there is enough pressure. However, I suggest if you're not actively using the water in the camper, turn it off. Moving on, we have two ways to warm up the camper. You can do it either with the propane or 110. With the propane, you just turn off like so, and it will take about 15 minutes to heat up the water. However, it's using quite a bit of a propane. You can also do it with electricity if you're running the generator or if you have a hookup to the shore power. This method will take about 40 minutes from tap cold to hot, but it's basically free for you. Alrighty, and moving to the third row, this is so-called status buttons. So they basically show you the levels of your resources. LPG is for propane. So when you press and hold, you'll see the level of the propane. So we're at 2/3. This is the old way of seeing the battery. So it would just tell you it's empty, 1/3, 2/3, but I would rather use this gadget. This is your fresh water. It's empty right now. Black water and gray water. I also would like to bring to your attention that these three, they're not always accurate, especially if you were driving and then you stopped and the water kind of splashed around the tanks. Sometimes you will hit this button and it will show you full after you use the water for a little bit. So I would normally just let the camper sit for at least an hour before you can check these levels. Okay, and now we got to the generator part. So why do we need a generator in a camper? Two reasons. If we need electricity, like I mentioned before, either for microwave or air conditioner, or we need to charge the batteries. The generator sits underneath the RV. It uses the same gasoline as the engine. However, it will stop if your fuel tank, your car fuel tank, is less than quarter. So make sure to keep your fuel tank topped off. Even if you're arriving to a campground that has full hookup, you never know what's going on. They might have an emergency or something. I have a habit of arriving to the campgrounds with my fuel tank full. To start the generator, you press the stop button first and you hold it for several seconds. What it does, it primes the generator, and then you hit and hold the start button until you hear the steady generator run. I hope you hear it through the microphone. So the generator is going to run idle for 20 or 30 seconds to warm up, and then it will start producing the 110 volts, and we will know that by this gadget will go all the way up, the house battery level. Also, this gadget will turn on blue. There you go, right there. So this little device shows you that we have generator producing 120 volts. And also the microwave lights. So these are my 3 indicators that we have the generator running. If the generator is running and you don't have, for example, that on or the microwave lights, you can go outside and check the generator breaker. Probably it tripped, or maybe it's not even on to begin with. And to wrap up our talks about electrical components, I would like to show you this little gadget. We call it outlets over DC. It's located right here in the hallway. Basically what it does, it takes 12 volts from the batteries and converts it to 110 and gives it to outlets and the TV. To turn it on or off, you just hold this blue button for a few seconds and it basically turns it on and off. Now practically, when would you need it? Say you guys are driving and one of you wants to watch a TV, and so you don't have to run the generator to produce 110 volts for that TV. You turn this gadget on and now you have a TV working. This one and the one in the bedroom, and also all the outlets throughout the RV. There's some here, there's one when you open the slide, there are a few in the bedroom. They all have USB ports on them, and you can actually see right now they're actually green, which means they're live, so you can hook up your phones. But remember, if you're using this device and you're dry camping, for example, that this gadget, even if you don't have anything on, it will drain your battery. So if you're not actively using any 110 devices, any outlets or a TV, simply turn it off. Also, you completely don't need this device if you're connected to the shore power, because then your shore power goes to the outlets and the TVs on its own. Okay, now let's talk about beds and chairs and other furniture in the camper. So we'll start with a slide. So in order to open the slide, obviously you have to be parked. You can't have the slide open when you guys driving. The unit has to be leveled, and make sure you have enough clearance on the outside, on the driver's side, as this slide will go outside about 2 to 3 feet. And the very important thing to make sure that you have enough clearance right here, so when you will be opening the slide, and you'll see it in a second, this doesn't rub against the driver's chair, so make sure it's all the way forward. Once we checked all these things, we have the slide extend and retract buttons. You hit the extend and you just hold it, and you can see the slide is opening. Okay, and you basically hold the button until the slide is completely open, and then after it stopped moving, hold the button for another few seconds to make sure that the slide is sealed on the outside. So now we have the slide open. These chairs can be converted into recliners. In each chair right here on the side you have a pull leveler, and it will convert the chair into recliner, and you can even push it more forward. You can also have these chairs reclined with the slide closed for the passengers that sit here. They will just go right against the kitchenette. Behind the seats, you can find the seat belts, and usually right before the rental we pull them out, so if the passengers want to use them. Just to close it, you just push it all back in, like so, and just click it closed. And the front chairs beside the regular function, like sliding it back and forward, you can also turn them sideways. So there's one leveler on the left that it will allow you, right here, to move the chair back and forth. So I think you slide the leveler back and the chair will go forward. And there's the other leveler on the other side that unlocks the chair from forward position. You can have both chairs turned like this, and there's a coffee table that goes right in between. And once you have both of the captain chairs turned sideways, pushed forward, and reclined back, that's like a pre-rack, now you can lower the bunk bed by pushing the button right here. And this fancy twin bed comes right down. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you don't want this bed to rest on the chairs. So keep going, and you want to stop somewhere right here. And now you have yourself a bed. There is a ladder right here in the hallway attached to the door. You pull it out like so, and you attach it right here. And here you go. This is your bunk bed. And the last two beds in the camper is obviously in the bedroom. So you can have two options. You can have two separate twins, or you can have one huge king bed. In order to switch from twin to king, you lift this mattress. And while I'm here, I just wanted to show you the bedding for the bunk bed will be right here. It's a separate bag. So that's all your bedding. These two beds are made. So you have a cube in here that you pull out. You close this bag. And you put the cube right between these two beds. And it already has its own sheet. And this will convert it into a large king bed. And a few more words on the bedroom. So obviously there's a lot of storage in here. There's a lot of compartments for you guys to store. There's an outlet with USB ports up here. There are reading lights up there. There's more shelves up here. There's a skylight, by the way, right here. And I would like to bring to your attention that this is the only skylight in the camper that has no rain cover, and we made a label for it. So if it's raining outside, make sure that the skylight is closed, and you can start the fan, you can bring the fresh air in. There are two more skylights in the living room, and those, even though they don't have fans, but they do have a rain covers, and they create really nice draft when you're driving, if you want to have it. Throughout the camper, you have windows. The curtains are just hand operated, so you just pull them up or down. This window doesn't open. However, all the other windows in the camper, they do open and close like so. Very nice. So, and you have a mosquito net. And one more thing to mention in the bedroom is the AC and furnace control. It's located in the bedroom for a reason, because when you sleep, this is where the temperature matters. It's very easy to use. You know, you have it in off or cooling or heating position, right? If you switch it to heat, the central heat will work, and cooling, the overhead AC will work. The fan, I always keep in auto. I never change this one. And then you just move the slider to the temperature you want to have. This one just shows the temperature in the camper. Few words about the TV. So we have a total of 3 TVs in this camper. One is on the outside. That one is just hooked up to regular antenna, which is right here in the roof. And in order to enable it, you just flip the switch on the side or turn the switch on the side, and here you have your self antenna. You can adjust the signal strength if you want to. This TV and the TV in the bedroom are smart TVs. They're Roku TVs. They do have Amazon, Netflix, and Disney Plus pre-logged into guest accounts, but you're also welcome to bring your own credentials. These TVs will run when RV is in motion. Also, each of these TVs has a hard drive attached to it with about 50 to 60 different movies and cartoons. So if you're in the area where there's completely no signal, no internet, no Wi-Fi, you can still watch some content kind of like in an airplane mode. Okay, the next part is the kitchenette. It's really tiny, but it has all the functions that you might need at the trip. So extra counter space is right here, and to fold it back, you just lift a little bit and you fold them like so. We have a sink. We have a filtered water in here, and I don't really suggest that you use this water for cooking or drinking. Instead, use this filtered water. We usually fill it up right before the trip, and you can actually take this one to any Walmart and refill it with the filtered water. We have a kettle, we have a toaster, cutting boards in here. We have all sorts of cutlery, kitchen supplies, cooking supplies, knives, so everything you guys might need to make your own meals during the trip will be provided. We have a French press, percolator. All these plates and cups are microwave friendly. And we also have a set of pots and pans in here. The stove is very easy to use. You open it, you turn the propane, and you generate a spark right at this knob. So there you go. Alright, to close this back, you have to lift the cover and then it will come back. We have the fan hood. The microwave also works as a, conventional cooker, so it has a built-in grill and stuff like that. We also have a dishwashing supplies in here. There's a portable vacuum cleaner, some cloths and stuff like that. A few words on the fridge. So this is so-called smart fridge, meaning it runs on both electricity and the propane, and it understands and makes its own choice what to use as a source. So when you guys come to pick this unit up, it will be already cold, because initially it takes like 24 hours for it to cool down. And you can see right now, I turn it on and it senses that there is no electricity, so it instantly switched to propane. When you hook up the camper to a shore power surge generator, it will switch back to electricity. You can use different cooling modes. I always go to highest. Another cool feature in this fridge is this little fan. So if the fridge will be packed with the food, you can turn it on to circulate the air through the fridge. Alright, and the bathroom. So to open the bathroom door, just take this handle and pull it down, and then pull the door to yourself. And besides the bathroom, you also get yourself like a nice size changing room, like so. And inside the bathroom, it's really tiny, but it has all the functions you need. So you have a toilet right there. On the bottom, the toilet has a paddle. So you push it a little bit to rinse the water, and you push it all the way down to flush it. Obviously, make sure that only toilet paper goes inside the toilet, otherwise you're going to have a lot of fun dumping the sewer tanks. We have a shower, we have a sink. In order to switch this sink, and we don't have water right now, the unit's winterized, but to use the shower, you basically open up these, and then you pull this one up, you pull it up to divert the water to the shower. The shower handle also has an on-off switch. And that's very handy when you guys are dry camping and you have limited water. So instead of killing the water here to put like the shampoo on, you can kill the water at the handle switch. All right, and then push it back down. It's really subtle movement. You don't really feel it that much, but you pull it a little bit, the water goes there. You push it down, the water comes back here. We have a blow dryer. We have some extra toilet paper in here, some basic cleaning supplies for you guys, so you don't have to bring yours. All right, there's a little medicine cabinet right here. And pretty much this is it. Here you have a curtain. So if you're using the bathroom and you do need some privacy from the bedroom, say you have kids sleeping here, there is a so-called accordion door. Then you can slide open or slide close. Okay, probably the final part is I'm gonna show you the features in the front driver's passenger's cabin, and then we'll talk a little bit about the driving. So up here you have some You have a panel right here. So the things that are not related specifically to driving is you have the cab light. It's right here above us. And you have a night shade. So this is really handy if you parked overnight and you don't want all this view of yourself from the outside. So you just press and hold, and this night shade comes down. Also, when you're driving, it works as a sun visor, and when the engine's running, it will come down only this low. It won't go any further. But when you parked and the engine's off, you can bring it all the way down, and then you have these curtains that go all the way around and they meet in the middle, right? So this will give you your night privacy. And this gets us to the driving part. So first of all, I would like to say a few words about safety. In terms of when you're driving, the camper should look like this. You shouldn't have any coolers, any heavy object, any loose items sitting in the camper, because if you have to brake excessively, if somebody cuts you off on the road, if you have a loose object like a cooler, it will literally fly through. So before you take off and as you guys drive, make sure that everything in your camper is secured and has no room to fly back and forth. The camper has tons of storage compartment, has a lot of shelves, have units right here on the top, so use them. All right. On the front, this is basically Ford F350, 250, 350 chassis. So in here, it's pretty much like driving a truck. A couple differences for you to show. I'm just going to turn on the ignition, not going to turn the engine on. Is down here we have a tire pressure monitoring system. So this shows you the pressure and the temperature of all 6 tires, which is really handy. You have a couple of USB ports. You have 2 in here, you have some in here. This is your AC and heat control. Fog lights. Generator start. This is exactly the same button that's up there in the monitor center, on the control center, so you can actually start and stop the generator from here. I do get a question from my renters from time to time, especially in the summer, especially from those renters who travel south. The question sounds like this: can we run the generator while driving so we have additional air conditioning? Yes, you can. I've been that route myself. I know that sometimes, say if it's triple-digit temperatures outside, you're driving on a highway, it's super hot, and the front AC is just not keeping up, keeping the entire camper cool. Like here, it will be nice and cold, but if you have passengers there, it's too hot. Yes, you can run the generator. However, I suggest to start the generator, you actually pull over. Don't try to start the generator as you guys are driving. It's just not a safe practice to do so. Pull over, do all the same. You push the prime or off button for a few seconds, then you hit the on button. Make sure the generator is running, then you can go into the bedroom and turn the AC on, and you can drive with the generator running. There is no issues with that whatsoever. Moving on, this is a very interesting button that we have in this camper. It's called emergency start. What it does, it jumps your car battery to your house batteries. Meaning if you, for some reason, drained your car battery, maybe you left your lights on, or maybe you left the radio on and your car battery is dead, by holding this, you can actually try to start the engine using the house batteries, and vice versa. Say if for some reason you killed your house batteries to the point you can't even run the generator, you can hold it and jump start. All right, so I showed the cab light, we got ignition on. So you have a stereo system here that also doubles as a, let me turn this down and I can show you. So if you go to menu, next, camera, it's a rear view camera. It's really handy. You can see, maybe it was the light right now, it's not so visible, but you can see what's behind you. And I suggest that you guys drive like this all the time, because you don't have any rear view cameras on your windshield. So this is handy. Also, when you do the left turn, it will show you there is a camera on each mirror, so it shows you left and right. And you can also go to the menu settings, and you go to the settings, display adjust, hit it twice, and if you go to bright, this actually brings the brightness of the display way up. Also, this is a Bluetooth enabled stereo system, so you can connect your phone to it. Moving on, we have phone mounts. So if your phone has a metal plate on the case, you can stick your phones right here. If you don't, in that convenience back up front, you, besides all the other handy things like phone chargers and other things, you can find a phone mount. Other than that, it's like driving just a larger truck. Remember about the speed limits. Remember that this is a bigger rig and it will take you more time to brake and more time to stop than the regular vehicle. So in the cities, try to go below the speed limit. Try to slow down the RV before you make a turn. Also, pay attention to so-called speed suggestion signs. They're usually black on yellow. And say if you take off the highway, you go on the exit, and sometimes you'll see like the signs will say 40, 40, 40, 40. Those signs are for bigger trucks and for RVers. So I normally try to go 5 miles below that speed. The good cruising speed on this camper is anywhere between 65 and 70 miles. It uses regular gasoline. The height of the camper is posted right here. Pay attention, it's 11.5 feet. So this is obviously taller than your regular vehicle. Also, make a habit when you're in the residential streets or just driving back roads to drive in the middle of the road to avoid the trees. All right, most of the damage that I get on these campers is people brushing the camper through the trees or through some objects that are up high. So kind of think three-dimensional, not only like left and right, also think about the height of the camper. Another thing that I would like to mention is that you will find in this camper is 2 walkie-talkies. And they're not only just for kids to have fun on the campground, but they are very handy if you're backing up. I have a habit of always using them, especially at the campgrounds, because unfortunately the camera doesn't give you a 360 view, and the camera doesn't show you first 3-4 feet behind the camper. So there might be a dog, a little kid, a bicycle that you're not aware of. So if you're backing up, or if you're driving backwards, you're reversing, have your co-pilot, your passenger, take the radio, get outside, set your radio right here in the cup holder. You just have to listen, you don't have to talk. And have your co-pilot navigate you through. And make sure you're not driving over something or someone. So these radios are very handy. Registration and insurance would be right under there in the glove box up there. And I think this covers it. Like I said in the beginning, this is exactly the same walkthrough as I would do to my renters. You probably noticed this is a pretty long video. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down. And when you guys come to pick up the camper, have your questions ready. I'll be glad to answer them or go one more time specifically through your scenario of driving, give you some additional advices and such. So thanks for watching and happy camping.